Welcome to part 21 of our Ultimate Wealth Masterclass. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer because, well, if you've been following along with us, you've reached a truly massive milestone. You've successfully conquered high-ticket offer design, closing mechanics, automated onboarding, and long-term client retention. So, congratulations, you've officially built a predictable, highly profitable engine that generates cash flow and builds sovereign assets. But as you're going to see, what comes next is going to completely change how you view your entire enterprise. Let's dive right in.
So, this is the golden question, right? You have a profitable engine. Now what? You've put in the blood, sweat, and tears to master the foundational mechanics. But I really have to warn you, as your business expands past that 6- and 7-figure mark, you are going to slam into a completely new tier of operational resistance. You know, it's that classic more money, more problems dilemma, but on a structural level. Suddenly, a minor customer service hiccup turns into a full-blown server meltdown just because you added another zero to your revenue. The rules of the game fundamentally change when you start moving toward 8 figures.
So, here is our agenda for today. We'll start with the complexity trap. Then we'll break down Pillar 1, infrastructure decoupling, Pillar 2, capital reallocation, and Pillar 3, sovereign governance, before finally wrapping up with claiming absolute freedom.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the 6-figure complexity trap.
Now, you might be wondering what exactly goes wrong for so many talented operators. It's almost never a lack of marketing skill or product quality. It's this phenomenon called the complexity trap. Basically, when operational resistance scales alongside revenue, it causes fractured communications, stalled servers, and exploding overhead. As your client count goes up, if your systems aren't perfectly aligned, operational resistance scales right alongside your revenue, creating a trap that literally suffocates your growth.
There's a painful reality we just have to accept here. Most successful entrepreneurs fail to cross the bridge into 8 figures because they scale complexity alongside revenue. You bring on more clients, which, should be a massive victory, but instead it just creates more chaos. You basically end up being punished for your own success simply because the underlying architecture wasn't designed to hold that much weight.
And this perfectly illustrates the divide between the people who stay stuck and those who break through. The amateur approach to growth is just brute force. It's simply working harder, putting in way more hours, or hiring endless staff to throw bodies at the problem. But the elite approach, the true elite engineer and architecture designed for infinite capacity with zero friction. And that exact blueprint is what we're unlocking today.
Which brings us to Section 2, Pillar 1 of that blueprint: infrastructure decoupling.
In a lower-tier model, operational delivery is tightly bound to human effort. Think about it for a second. If you sign 10 times more clients today, do you suddenly need 10 times more time, energy, and management overhead? If you do, your capacity is severely capped. To reach the 8-figure matrix, product delivery must be entirely decoupled from labor. That means your revenue can completely skyrocket without your headcount having to follow suit. We have to break that link completely.
So how exactly do we break that link? We use automated code assets. We're talking about proprietary software pipelines, custom-built AI agents, and asynchronous delivery assets, which honestly is just a very fancy way of saying you deliver massive value to your clients while you're asleep. When your core asset distribution is driven by automated code rather than manual human effort, your profit margins actually expand as you scale up.
This right here is the absolute ultimate goal of Pillar 1. Processing 100 clients requires the exact same personal oversight as processing 10,000 clients. When you can achieve that zero-friction delivery, you free up massive amounts of capital and time. And what do you do with all that freed up capital? You reinvest it straight into market domination.
Let's move smoothly into Section 3, Pillar 2, capital reallocation.
Now, think about the massive mental shift required here. At the 7-figure level, cash flow funds your personal lifestyle and basic purchases. It's a great living, for sure, but it's fragile. At the 8-figure level, you transition from being an active operator to becoming a sovereign capital allocator. Cash flow becomes corporate energy used to acquire, compounding, defensive assets that guarantee multi-generational security.
A huge chunk of your corporate profits should be automatically routed into these hard asset classes. We call this institutional asset layering. You're routing capital into decentralized sovereign property, high-yield digital nodes, strategic equity in complementary software, and high-ticket real estate debt instruments. So suddenly your business isn't just a job you own anymore, it's the primary engine feeding a much larger financial machine.
And that leads us to the ultimate goal here, a massive, uncancelable holding entity. This underlying asset fortress guarantees that even if one specific market sector completely crashes, your wealth is protected. It just keeps generating passive compounding yield across global financial systems, totally independent of your day-to-day operations.
All right, let's jump to Section 4, Pillar 3, Sovereign Governance. This is the final layer of protection for everything you've built. This is so incredibly important to understand. An enterprise is not truly sovereign if it depends on a single jurisdiction, a single banking system, or a single regulatory authority. As an 8-figure operator, you have to elevate yourself. You have to operate completely above localized market crashes, banking failures, and political overreach. Basically, if a single entity has the power to just turn off your business, you don't really own it.
So how do you actually build this kind of resilience? By using decentralized corporate structures. You diversify your operational entities, you secure cold storage reserve funds across sovereign vaults, and you make absolutely sure your intellectual property is protected in unhackable digital frameworks. You build a framework that protects your digital empire internationally.
Because when you deploy Pillar 3 effectively, this is the result. Technologically uncancelable, operationally automated, financially bulletproof. Just let the weight of those 3 traits sink in for a second. That right there is the true definition of an 8-figure architecture.
And that brings us to our final section, claiming absolute economic freedom. You might actually want to grab a quick screenshot of this framework right now. This is the unedited, completely summarized 8-figure blueprint. Pillar 1 is infrastructure decoupling for infinite capacity using automated code. Pillar 2 is capital reallocation for multi-generational security through hard asset layering. And Pillar 3 is sovereign governance for financial bulletproofing via decentralized structures. This is your map for building and scaling economic sovereignty.
The journey from understanding the hidden debt cycles of fiat currency all the way to constructing an 8-figure digital empire is now complete. You possess the knowledge, the frameworks, and the tools you need. So my final challenge to you is this: stop playing small in a broken financial system.
Which leaves us with one incredibly provocative question to close things out today. Are you ready to step into the matrix of infinite leverage, deploy your architecture, and claim your absolute freedom? The blueprint is in your hands, and the next move is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.